is waiting for a while. If he spots this third base and kills it instead, I still think he's in a really nice position. And he's taking out the observer count as well. Whoa, he's going to go for a quad drop.
That's incredibly aggressive, and actually that has worked out in his favor. RSVP's rolling out thinking, oh, now he's thinking, oh god, where's the army? Is this a fake? Is Xenocider actually going to draw him back into his main and then hit the natural? Because he's waiting.
Could be. Xenocider right now still has a pretty decent window where he can strike, but at the same time, if he's just going to line him up out completely, that's just exactly where RSV would prefer to fight. Although right now he's fighting pretty separate, as Stalkers are now trying to retreat to his Colossus. Overall, Xenocider is also trying to see if he can do something with his bio out into the outside the natural, but he also just stimmed and just sat there.
Yeah, that's a little bit. I like the plan here by Xenocider, but it did look like it was a little bit. Yeah, it was, I wouldn't say cautious, but he was a little bit nervous, and that stim doesn't really do anything. Feedback comes in, however, Xenocider is still doing damage. If he gets into the probe line here and is able to cut down a lot of these workers and still get out with his army, then I still like this for him. Now, has he seen that third base? He has not. He does not know about that. He takes the main Nexus out and is now going to escape as well.
I like taking out the Nexus. Would have loved taking the Templar Archives and the Twilight Council right there synonymously. Would have been absolutely massive.
That would have been huge. If he'd actually managed to take that out before Storm completed, that would have been massive. But as you said, it didn't quite happen. It was still a pretty, it was a pretty decent drop. The amount of workers killed was fairly significant. We're looking at 8 workers killed, a lot of mining time lost because of that lost Nexus, as well as pro production time. He's only on 57 pros for 3 bases, which is not the best ever. 72 SCVs here for Xenocider. The question, I suppose, now becomes, what has RSVP really got in response to this? He's behind in supply. Tech-wise, he's actually behind as well. He's about to catch up with the 1-1, but +2 has already started here for Xenocider. A lot of medevacs on the field, plenty of Marauders coming in as well. RSVP, he's not really building anything right now. He's just building a lot of pylons. What is his composition? He's building a warp prism now.
Yep, he could try to go for some charge lot counter harass. Always have the option of poking, especially on Whirlwind. There's 2 openings to the third base, so Terrans aren't very cautious to wall off. So if you can abuse that, you can really capitalize on their mistake. But normally in this case, Totalbiscuit, and I love that you point out that he's down in supply. It's okay if your upgrades are better than your opponents.
Yeah.
But in this regard, there's no opportunity for RSVP to get the upgrade because he's been playing so greedy with his gas, going Robo or going Colossus into Templar. So in this regard, I think that Xenocider has an insurmountable advantage for the moment just because there's just really nothing going on for RCP. He's forced to play in 3 different spots. He's dropping the main and poking at the third.
Yeah, he doesn't know that the third's there, but he's there now. And I guess he has to assume that, considering the size of the arm. It's like, is there a third base, maybe? Let's go and check. And he finds it, and then the big drop comes in. He takes a pretty bad engagement at the third base, and the defense is looking good. But this is the concern here. The Templar Tech's about to die. He might even lose the Twilight Council as well, which would not be good at all. And the Nexus looks like it's going to die again.
Yeah, great job. He's even kiting the Zealots at the third base. Has units at the or just outside the natural and the third base, picking off straggling Zealots. This is great multitasking from Xenocider, being able to effectively control all units. Look how weak the units are into the main, but it doesn't matter because there's not enough units from RSVP. He's now warping into the main base, trying to storm at the third, but there's just so much action. Xenocider again using his speed to run circles around his opponent.
Man, it's insane. Yeah, Xenocider is the kind of sports car that goes 0 to 60 in about 20 minutes. But once it hits 60, it goes to 120 in about 2. It's really impressive to watch. Like, when he actually breaks out this double or triple pronged attack play, he's ridiculously fast. And he's done a lot of damage here. Has he done enough? Hard to say. He took out the main Nexus again. He took out a lot of tech as well. RSVP's definitely behind here, but he didn't deliver the killing blow.
No, he hasn't. RSVP could technically just leave this game and no one would be mad at him. But at the same time, RSVP still has a big abundance of gas, and storms can change anything.
They can.
One game that always comes to mind is Grubby versus Star Eagle at a DreamHack. I'll never forget that game just because Grubby was down 60 supply and 5 storms changed everything. But there's no opportunity. Again, Xenocider pushes in, and he's got Hellbats this time. And there's nothing that these charge slots can do against a bunched up bio army with Hellbats on the ramp.
No. And the force fields didn't really help him there at all. He tries to get a better concave. Down go the Mules. He says, get out of this game. And there's the GG. And Xenocider cruises to victory here against RSVP 2-0.
Very well played there by Xenocider. Again, really showing why Whirlwind is a little bit tough map for Protoss to defend on. Although, again, RSVP took an unconventional third base. It was off towards the right side, away from his opponent. Normally, you see a nice triangular formation with expansions, but in this regard, RSVP tried to play sneaky yet again. And this time, Xenocider was able to call that bluff completely. He didn't even have to hesitate, really.
No, he really, really didn't. And we're still seeing, like, mechanical problems, I think, with Xenocider's play. Like, his fundamentals are not quite on the level they need to be to pull off the crazy stuff that he's currently trying to do. But that in itself scares me. Like, if he's gonna play this crazy, like, you could either say early MMA style or, like, Gumiho style, and you're gonna notice, like, the multiple drops everywhere, and you just don't quite have the multitasking to handle it, it can end up in a situation where you lose horribly. But against RSVP, who wasn't really able to handle it that well either, it didn't really seem to matter. Yeah, you can lose a few units here and there, but if you're attacking in 3 places and you're only losing a third of your army, but you're doing damage with the other 2, then that's actually fine.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I do want to commend RSVP for attempting really strong strategies. These are these are strategies that you want to be able to incorporate into the best of 3 series. But again, you can't discredit the fundamentals here, where the splits were just not good enough. Yes, you have stalkers in the main, and your zealots protecting your Colossus, but overall RSVP just crumbled under the pressure. And again, Xenocider shows why, even though he's young, you can't underestimate him.
No, there's a lot of hype behind this player, and I think it's for a good reason as well. The question is, I suppose, going to deal with State, who, like, State played a really solid game that with very few mistakes, aside from the first game, which was just, like, a blind roll of the dice that came up double ones, which didn't help him at all. But then in game 2 and 3, he was really solid. Like, QXC was the one making the mistakes, not State. RSVP, I don't think, like, watching those games, it seems like State is on a better level than RSVP right now, and as a direct result, I think Xenocide is going to struggle a little bit more in this winners match.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher to break someone like State, who plays more straight up. The 3-gate robo, have 4 or 5 observers out onto the map, even 6, depending on how crazy he's feeling that day. I think State will be able to defend the drops a lot better. Xenocider has to be a little bit more clever if he wants to break this Protoss player.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, we need to see maybe less mistakes in the early game. And even on those initial drops, we often see a few problems here and there where it's like, yeah, that drop was okay, but it could have been a lot better. That could have been a way more devastating drop. And it's like, well, you're trying to keep up with your macro, you're trying to keep up with your multitasking, and something's got to give somewhere unless you're top level. And maybe Xenocider isn't there yet, but one way or the other, he beat RSVP down, and no one can argue that point.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions coming in. Is Xenocider going to be able to play good TVP? We haven't seen his televised Terran against Protoss, but it looks just as sharp as your regular Terrans that completely dismantle Protoss. Can't wait for the next series.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool, I think. We're going to be seeing exactly what ends up happening right after this break, folks. You are watching SHOUTcraft America. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back. No, Sonic the Hedgehog music, you cannot play now. We will play you in the break next time. Good lord, it was so unbelievably enthusiastic. I don't blame it, it's a great remix. Welcome back to SHOUTcraft US.
Yep,
Which, actually,
guys,
in this group, it is actually SHOUTcraft US as well. I believe it is just United States players in Group D.
Yeah, it's actually pure U.S. players, which we appreciate. Just because I look at the round of 16 in WCS America, and I shed a tear. I shed a couple tears. Let's be real.
I think there'll be a few more tears shed after that happens. I tell you, by the looks of it, that lineup is stacked, scary so. But we are now looking at the winners match here between Xenocider and State. And you will be able to see both of them right here. There they are, folks. Xenocider and State. Okay, so Xenocider, welcome back. I guess you really needed to go to the bathroom, so you wanted to finish those games pretty quickly, right?
Yeah. I just got home from school, like I said earlier, so I didn't have any time to warm up. So those games were really fucking sloppy. But I'm a bit better now, so I'm hoping these games will go a bit more fluidly.
Well, it was apparently enough to take out RSVP 2-0 in a pretty convincing fashion, especially once you really started ramping up the double drops and triple drops there. And State, now, I think a lot of people were actually surprised that you managed to pull off the 2-1 there against QXC.
I'm really confident in my macro PBT. I tried an Oracle build I was messing around with in ladder, but it didn't really work that well.
We won't talk about the Oracle build.
Yeah, QXC defended better than every Terran I've played it with on ladder so far. I've done it maybe 12 or 13 times, so...
Yeah, he smelled that really well, actually. He completely blind counted you on that one.
I didn't know the scan covered it. So.
Yeah, it actually shouldn't have. Like, I'm pretty convinced that it shouldn't have because we looked at the radius and it wasn't actually touching it, but apparently that radius is not entirely accurate. So, yeah.
Maybe it's like the select size of the structure or something. I thought it was.
That's a possibility. Yeah, it's very much so. The thing is, he'd actually started blind countering you before that even happened, so, yeah. It was all good. He actually had the engineering bay going down. But yeah, Oracles can be a coin flip. The other two games, as you said, very strong macro PBT, very few mistakes from you there. But we're seeing a different style here from Xenocider. How do you feel going into this matchup?
He played really drop heavy against RSVP. I think if he does that against me, he'll have a little bit more trouble just because I've gotten really good at defending drops over the past couple months. But
okay.
He's a really good upcoming Terran player, and I know how hard it is to play while you're in school, so props to him.
Very true. Xenocider, how are you feeling about this? You know, I don't know, maybe if you were you didn't even get to watch the games because you were running home from school at that time, but the State taking out QXC is for some people a bit of a surprise. Are you feeling confident going into this?
I don't think it was really a surprise for me. I think State's probably the best Protoss in North America, but
thank you.
I don't feel really either way. I'm not confident, or I'm not too confident, but I'm not underestimating him.
Oh, strong statement coming out of there. State apparently the best Protoss in North America. Good to know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be going to this matchup very shortly. We're going to kick it off on Akalon Waste. State, do you have any final words for Xenocider today?
Good luck.
Excellent. Yep. Good luck, have fun.
Okay, folks, to your stations, thank you very much for your time, and we're looking forward to watching you guys play. Now, one of these guys is going through to the winners match, and one of them will go down to fight the winner of QXC versus the other fellow. Yes, like, what? Yes, RSVP. Sorry, I'm dealing with production stuff here. So, Frodan, I've got to say, like, we saw some really impressive performances from both of these guys.
We've seen really good macro PBT, just like State was saying in his Protoss vs. Terran. To be honest, I feel like Xenocider still hasn't proven himself in a long duration of Terran vs. Protoss. Like, we didn't get to see any opportunity for Ghost control.
Yeah.
His Viking control, again, we haven't had too much opportunity. It's just strictly medevacs. So State, while he's, there is merit to what he says, that you just can't drop me and expect to win. I don't know what to expect from Xenocider's other aspects of his late game TVP.
Yeah, I tend to agree. That said, as he pointed out, he didn't really have a chance for a warm-up because he just run home from school. He was playing pretty sloppily against RSVP, but it was definitely enough to take him out. So I don't wonder if that's sloppy Xenocider, then what exactly is focused, properly micro and macroing Xenocider?
It's probably the Xenocider that has beaten some Koreans even in just a qualifier. He even beat some really well-known Chinese players in the qualifiers for WCS America as well. I mean, he's definitely got really, he plays really quick, as you can see, but at the same time, one of the biggest faults with quick players is that they don't necessarily make really strong decision making because they're trying to do everything so fast simultaneously. And I think Xenocider has to kind of scale back. I don't think those 4 medevac drops will be as effective as it was against RSVP.
Yeah, State seems like he's well prepared for that, and as I said, if he just keeps playing that solid macro defensive style, then he should be okay. The risk, of course, is that Xenocider gets greedy behind that and is able to catch up economically, saying, hey, look at all these drops, defend, defend, defend. Oh, I've got 4 bases now, you're in trouble. But it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down. Obviously, State played really, really well against QXC, so I'd maybe set him as the favorite, but as you said, as Xenocider, I think here is a wild card. It's very hard to really predict exactly how he's going to perform here.
Yep, and I want to also see if they're going to vary any openings, whether it be early tech, because it seems like all Terrans today have been going for a quick expand of some sorts. Maybe can mix it up with some early drops, but then again, some Protosses have been really good at holding that off as well.
That's very true. I'm interested to see if Akalon Wastes actually gives an opportunity for Xenocider to get aggressive right out of the gate there, or whether or not he just decides not to do that. I mean, we haven't seen a single Reaper built this entire series so far, so that's very surprising.
Oh, we haven't. That's true. That's weird, man.
No Reapers, man.
Reapers are so cost efficient.
Yeah.
That's really a shame too, just because Reapers also keep Protosses accountable. We've been seeing players skip certain early units like Zealots and the Stalkers just because they know Terran's not making the Reaper, and as a result, I feel like they should. Regardless, though, it is Akalon Wastes, a map where it is a little bit hard for Protoss to kind of defend the entire natural. The Mothership Core doesn't protect all areas of the ramp. And so I want to see a little bit more early aggression from Xenocider, but it seems like he really does favor that mid game.
I would think so. It seems like the right kind of approach as well. He's totally on top of that, and once he gets going, he is a difficult man to beat, it would seem. The question is whether or not he'll be able to actually maintain that pace and really keep up the control as well, because you can't just go triple dropping people and expect for it to just work out and just leave it alone. You've got to control all of that stuff, and that's difficult.
No, it most certainly is, and it seems like Xenocider is more of a lie in wait kind of predator instead of a direct brute force. If you watch players like Flash play TVP, for example, which Flash doesn't necessarily have the best Terran versus Protoss, but it's still pretty good, pretty damn good considering that he's still on top of his game. But he likes to just confront Protoss, really take the snipe armies, kite, and then pick up and immediately leave. Xenocider seems to more want to threaten the drop and then either follow it up or drop somewhere else and then completely confuse you. And that's this type of finesse play that we've seen from him. So even if Xenocider's first drop fails, I think his second one, his third one, his fourth one, his fifth one will also be just as deadly lethal.
Indeed. All right, well, let's see if State's macro style can handle this. In the red trunks, playing Protoss to the southeast position, he is
State
versus his opponent up to the northwest position. Playing Terran in the blue trunks, it is
Xenocider.
I wonder if Clutch ever thought about calling him Based Xenocider.
Based Xenocider, yeah, that would have gone.
The chat would
well.
explode. That's for sure.
It might, yes. such a strange term. Such a strange term. Anyway, what are we going to see from Xenocider here? Will it be? Well, we're obviously going to see barracks, but I think what's telling is whether or not he takes the gas on either 13 or 15 supply.
Yeah, you could take it on 12. I don't necessarily mind that.
That's pretty good.
Some Terrans opt for 11-11, and in terms of 11 barracks, 11 gas, and even squeeze out a Reaper like 8 to 12 seconds faster than that. And that way they can almost guarantee get a probe or even 2 kills while being able to harass Protoss a lot. But that's kind of, neither here nor there. It's more of a stylistic thing. No gas just yet, though.
Yeah, we're not going to be seeing it from him. Like, if 15's kind of the latest, I think, that you get as a Terran, if you want to play that, say, 1 barracks reactor style, then that works pretty well, but no, it's not coming in. So we will see an expansion fairly shortly. And State, once again, takes his gas nice and early, around 14 supply there.
Now, State, he's kind of said that he doesn't like his proxy Stargates, but he said that also to his opponents hearing it. And at the same time, it's just one of those things where if he actually does go for a Stargate, which I don't think he is because he's not putting all 3 probes on the geysers.
Yeah.
But if he chooses to do something, I wouldn't mind seeing a mix-up in the middle of the series by going for some kind of proxy.
Yeah, that would be nice. I think maybe he doesn't do that because there's no chance that Xenocider actually watched those games, because we know he wasn't even in the house at that time. So maybe it seems like trying to mind game your opponent in that situation wouldn't work out so well, but regularly, yeah, I'd say that, oh yeah, we completely flopped an Oracle play. Let's do it again when they think there's no chance in a million years that we'll pull it out.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those dirty tactics where people will say, "Ugh, Protoss." Xenocider is going to go for a quick barracks expand. How is he going to follow up? He's going to drop two more barracks rather than double gassing. Yeah. So he's going to go for a lot of frontal production. This might provoke him to early poke once again.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it? Because it really does remove those sort of mid-game aggressive options from you, or at least it delays them for quite some time. Your upgrades are later, your factory is later, your starport is later, but you get enough Marines out, you can still pressure, especially if State decides to get a little bit lax. And what we did see from State, actually, I think it was game 1, maybe in game 2 as well, like, he's got an itchy trigger finger when it comes to Photon Overcharge. He will drop that at the slightest sign of aggression, which can actually be a pretty bad thing indeed.
Yeah, you don't want to give Terran what they want in terms of baiting out the Photon Overcharge. State has to be a little bit more careful with that. But at the same time, it's better to be safe than sorry. Too many times I've seen Protoss players do it too late. When the entire Terran army is overrunning their forces, they didn't get the force fields down. So State could be taking it more defensively.
That's absolutely true. He very well could be doing just that. Now, Xenocider is going to get the successful scout here, which actually kind of shouldn't have happened, really, but he was able to spot the force composition as well as the timing of the Nexus there, which is always nice for him. He's now going to start to work on Stim. We don't have a factory coming down. The amount of gas that he spent, obviously, to get Stim only on 2 gas, that's going to significantly delay that factory. But it looks like we will see an aggressive poke out from Xenocider. He is rolling out a bit before he needs to, because obviously he doesn't have Stim yet, but sometimes I like this kind of play. Against some players, it's pretty good, but it's very much a, you've got to do damage when you do it, because you can't keep doing it. Mostly because you don't have a way to fix your Marines up once they take damage from the Stim.
Yeah, but, you know, Xenocider actually withdraws, and I think that's the better move to make sure that he's not going to be undefended should something come in through his main or his natural. Now, Xenocider is going for a factory. We've been seeing a couple of mix-ups with, like, for example, QXC would like to go for an earlier engineering bay and getting that early +1. Yeah. So in this case, Xenocider is going to try to compensate his quote-unquote delayed tech by ignoring that upgrade and going straight for starport. And I think that's an appropriate way to do it, as long as you can make sure that you do enough damage, because State will go for 3-gate robo. He is going to get observers. I'm almost going to guarantee he's going to go double forge and try to go for those really quick upgrades. And so by the 15-16 minute mark, if you're still not even finishing up 1-1, you're going to be in big trouble, because State will be starting 3-3. And I've seen scenarios like that where Terrans delay upgrades, and it's just heartbreaking because their Marines do like 2 damage with Guardian Shield and +4 armor zealots.
You know, I've got to say, Xenocider shut that scout down really well. Generally speaking, a hallucinated Phoenix is very hard to stop, but it came in at just the right angle. Xenocider was absolutely prepared for that. And as a direct result, most of the barracks tech and things like that wasn't actually scouted there. I believe he did see the starport going down. Yes, he did. He doesn't know if the factory is producing anything, so he doesn't know if there's any crazy Hellbat action going on or anything along those lines. But the second scouting Phoenix comes in, and we'll now see everything. Xenocider